Hello and welcome to the Deep Talk Podcast, a podcast and community dedicated to learning, growing, and connecting more deeply with ourselves and one another. I'm Madison Brandt, your host. Let's get started with this week's Deep Talk. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Deep Talk Podcast. As always, so happy to have you all here. We switched up the video a little bit. If you're watching, I was filming on my computer because I was like, this feels more like hangout session, but I've been watching them and I'm like, I don't like the way this looks. So we're back to the camera, we're back to this vibe, and amazing. Today we're talking about anxiety and overthinking, which I think is something that most people feel and experience in some way. Even if you're not like diagnosed with anxiety, I think that feeling moments of anxiety or overthinking is natural for literally the entire world. And if you don't feel that, I am so jealous. You must have super calm, chill energy. But anyway, yeah, so I wanted to talk about this today because I've noticed that I have been anxious and overthinking more than usual lately. And I've been just like practicing different things and noticing what works. And for me, as somebody who has like a very busy brain, like ADHD, all the things, I feel like my brain naturally tends towards overthinking. And I think that if you are also neurodivergent, like I think that that brain pattern can be a thing. So yeah, let's dive into all things about this and talk about it. Just the goal is to like create that dialogue and also just let you know you're not alone. We all experience it. I've been experiencing it lately. And yeah, so an area of my life I've noticed lately that I've been feeling like I have been overthinking is friendship. I feel like sometimes I feel like super good and solid, and then other times I get in these modes where I'm like, do they secretly hate me? Are they mad at me? Did I say something weird? Was that wrong? And when I start feeling like this, I'm always like, okay, what's the root? And it's usually that something else in my life maybe feels a little bit less certain, and so I'm leaning into like things that usually feel certain to me, like my friends are pretty solid. I'm looking extra into that to be like, are you sure you're solid? Because this other area of my life doesn't feel solid. And it's funny, one time my friend Gabby told me this sentence that I'll never forget, but she was like, try to keep only one area of your life at a time from just like feeling like it's in shambles so that you're not anxious everywhere, which is like not possible because I at least have many areas of my life that can feel kind of messy at a time. But I do think about that in the sense that like when there's like more than one area of your life that feels kind of like awry, it can make other areas of your life feel harder, or it can just make your life overall feel like stressful. And so like, of course, I start getting anxious about friendship when the actual thing I've been really anxious in my life is just like my next steps. Like, so obviously I have this podcast and there's so much I'm looking to create here. I'm starting events and a community. Like I am trying to deepen this space, and that is amazing. And I also, outside of this, am a makeup artist. And so I do that in my hometown, like where I live. And I'm also looking to go to LA to do that. And so I have all these pieces of my life, and I'm a 27-year-old girl, and I'm like, I want to do this podcast stuff, and I also want to do this makeup stuff. And part of it's here where I live, and part of it's on the West Coast. And I also am like, how is that going to affect my stability, right? My friendships, right? That's probably why I'm so anxious. I'm like overthinking. I'm like, are you going to be here if I move away for a while? Like, is this solid? Because my life feels not fully solid right now. I feel okay. Like I'm not crumbling or anything, but I'm definitely like anxious because I think anxiety stems from thinking about the future and overthinking the future. And I think that when there's a lot of uncertainty, anxiety creeps in, and it's trying to like manage the uncertainty, because it's like, if I can just overthink enough, I can protect myself from the feelings that I might feel that I don't want to feel. And so anxiety is almost this weird friend that tries to like protect us. Like it's trying to do that for me. It's like, okay, your life is like got a lot coming. We don't know what's going on. Like you might as well overthink and try to protect the things that you can control, right? Or not control, but the things you can work on, because I have no idea what's coming in the next year. Like a lot of it's just going to be like, I don't know who I'm going to meet, and I don't know what I'm going to like or not like, and what is going to feel good for my businesses and what won't. So what I can focus on is the people like around me, making sure those friendships feel good, or like, I make sure I'm going to my workouts and getting my movement in, because that is something I can control. And I'm not like being controlling of my workouts or my friends ever, but I'm trying to like make sure they're feeling good, because I'm anxious. And I think it's a whole nother conversation of the late 20s, but it's definitely like a time for reinvention. And so when you've known who you are and you're like, well, what's coming next? I literally don't know. All I know is like a few things I want to try, but like everything else, like I don't have control over. It kind of like makes you feel crazy and anxious. And so that's kind of where I've been at. But yeah, so I don't know. I experienced this in my life. Like I've always been an anxious person. Like my mom said growing up, I was like, she would drive me to field trips at school the day before, so I would know like what to expect. I would know like, okay, like this is like whatever area, like this is where your class is gonna go. Like I love to know. And I think I spend a lot of my time trying to know, and that causes me more anxiety. Like I've even mapped out this next year being like, okay, so this could happen and then this will happen next. Like I'm trying to predict the turn of events that are going to happen when I choose one thing, because all I know is my next step, and then I'm thinking every other step after, which like I can't know because I have no idea, right? Like I might go to LA and hate it. Okay, then my plan that I've thought out forever is, different. Or I might love it and I might meet somebody and I might end up doing something completely different than I thought I would do in life. Like maybe I'll be an actor. I don't know. Probably not. But I think anxiety wants to know. And I've always been someone who wants to know, because that like soothes my anxiety. But it's like kind of like eating a cupcake where like it feels amazing for a few seconds. You get that hit of dopamine. You're like, yes. And then later you're like, I'm tired and I'm having a sugar crash. And it's like that. It's like a moment of relief. And then it's like, now I'm still unsure. I'm still uncertain. I still don't feel good. And so I have OCD. I think I've mentioned that in previous episode, but OCD is like a form of anxiety. This will relate. So just hold on. I'm tying a lot of threads together. But OCD is like compulsions you do to relieve your anxiety. And I think like for some people, right, it's like washing their hands a certain amount of time or checking that their straightener is not on. I know that that's a thing. But for me, I do like a lot of mental compulsions of like list making or checking, right? And I even think overthinking and rumination can be a compulsion where it's like, I feel anxious. So if I just think enough, then I can soothe my anxiety. But then it creates more anxiety. It's feeding the beast. It keeps up the pattern, right? It's feeding it. And it doesn't soothe it for long. You're like, oh yeah, I did it. And then 2 minutes later, you're like, shit, I'm still anxious and I don't know what's going on in my future. So honestly, lately I've been realizing like it's less about managing anxiety and more about learning to tolerate uncertainty, because life is uncertainty. And so looking at my life and being like, okay, I have a few steps, but I don't know everything. How do I sit in that? Rather than drive myself crazy trying to know, trying to plan, trying to perfect. Like, how can I just learn to just be like, this is my next step and I don't know what's after, but that is okay. I think like otherwise we're going to go crazy. And that's not fun. So yeah, I think really it's about learning to tolerate feelings of discomfort and uncertainty. And like anxiety has tricked us in our whole life to make us feel like we have control, and we really don't. We don't. All we have control over is like our responses and actions to like our intuitive pulls. And like sometimes we only have the next step in our mind. That's all. Something I wanted to talk about was like the good and bad things about overthinking and anxiety, because I think we forget that there's good, and I kind of want to tie into everything I've been talking about. So, okay, let's just start with the bad, get it over with. The bad, obviously, it's like when it starts overtaking your life and you notice you're anxious all the time and it's like you can't be present in your days. Okay, that's not fun. That's not a good thing, right? Like you being anxious all day, it's like you can't live your life. You can't be present with the people you love. Like you're holding up in your room overthinking. Like, it's not making your life quality better, right? I think also overthinking and anxiety, what can become bad is like, I think sometimes it's escapism from learning how to sit with things, like I talked about, like learning how to be okay with uncertainty. And like, you kind of disconnect from the presence in your life when you overthink. Like, you kind of are not there because you're so in your head, and you're just like, I don't know. I think sometimes overthinking is a practice where we're practicing not feeling, okay with uncertainty. We're practicing not being present. We're practicing trying to soothe ourselves rather than be with our feelings. We're practicing intellectualizing our feelings and our emotions. And so it's helpful for us in certain ways, but also like it is a practice. Like, the more we overthink and the more we practice that and that pattern we have, even though we think it's helping, like the more we're feeding the beast. And so those are a few things that I think might be harmful about overthinking, right? But the things that I think are really good, but this is not to say to keep doing it, okay? This is not to say that, but okay, let's just dive in because you'll get it. Okay. The first thing, I think that if you are an overthinker, you have pattern recognition. And I oftentimes find this in people, again, who are neurodivergent or have a certain kind of brain. Overthinking can be like thinking too much about something, but overthinking can be just being like, I have a big brain and I can think deeply about something. It means you have the ability to see patterns and complexities and nuances in a situation. Like, I can see a situation and break apart everything and the feeling and everything. And maybe that hypervigilance came from childhood, and that's another story. But like, still, I have pattern recognition that I can recognize, like, when my friend responds this way, she's probably feeling this way, and this is why, and like, I'm very aware. And so I think in the positive light, it means you're very aware and you're very able to see patterns and complexities. Like, you have the mind of someone who could be a coder, or someone who could be like a business owner or an artist, or like just this ability to really be complexly thinking, I think is so beautiful. And it's not something that everybody has, right? People that I notice overthink the most versus just situationally, there is like a gap. Like, I think that the people in my life that don't overthink a ton are not necessarily like super pattern recognition brains. And that's not a bad thing. They just have a more chill brain because their brain doesn't do that. But if yours does, like, there's an equal superpower of being able to be really successful in your career, being really emotionally intelligent and connected with the people in your life, to see things that other people don't. And that can just go in so many different avenues of what your life looks like when you can see those patterns. It can be really cool. Like, I notice in my life, it makes me a way better friend. And it makes me I think it makes me smart. And I think it makes me really creative. I think it makes me why I'm doing this. It makes why I'm doing this podcast. Like, I'm breaking apart overthinking. Like, I'm overthinking. You can see, it's like a sixth sense. So I think learning like, okay, overthinking can be beneficial when I'm using it for when I need a big brain on something at work and in life. Like, when I want to analyze something and like know something, like, very cool. But also when it flips into hypervigilance and like overthinking something and not being present and like starting to ruin your life, it's like, that's when it becomes a problem. So the second thing, I think it connects to intuition. I think sometimes like where overthinking comes from, and this is like a big point I want to make in this podcast, is like when your body feels dysregulated, and you will go straight into your mind if you don't regulate the body. And so it can happen really quickly too, and you don't recognize it. Like, let's say you're in a group setting and someone makes a comment to you that makes you feel weird, right? Your body is the first thing feeling weird. Your nervous system senses like something is off, something feels weird. And then your brain goes, sometimes that's like when we're intellectualizing things and not being with our feelings, right? It's important to take that pause between body, nervous system to brain. But it'll flip that way because the brain is like a computer machine. It's trying to make data out of the intuitive feelings, the feelings we feel in our body. And so the good thing is like your body is working, right? Like if you were in a room and something feels off and you feel like a creepy man or something nearby, your body will go, oh. And you have like that body knowledge to know if I need to run, I need to run. Like I got that adrenaline. And so it's like good in survival instincts. It's also good because it gives you information. Like it means you're like connected to your emotions, your signals, your intuition. Like I truly believe, especially women, like we have this sense with intuition. Like you know when someone's mad at you, you know when something feels off. And that's like a very interesting, beautiful thing. Like it helps me. I know like when people are feeling a certain way, it makes me empathetic. It makes me connected. It makes me know. And I love that. I love intuition. I love the ability to trust what my body is saying. But the problem with overthinking is it will flip into our brains and not actually be present with that emotion. And so I'm going to give kind of an example. So I have had this thing I've always done in my life where when I feel a feeling that I don't like, I start spiraling about it in my brain and then spiraling about my life in my brain. So I'm going to give an example from the other day. I was having a day where I spent way too much time alone, and at night I was kind of already like feeling a little just off that day, tired. So that didn't help. And in my body, I just felt like a little bit lonely. And then my brain, it flipped in my brain, and I started wanting to spiral about loneliness, being like, am I alone? Am I alone? Am I alone? Does anybody love me? And I would have like, if I would have followed that spiral, I would have in my head thought about everything. And maybe would have reached out to friends for reassurance. I might have just like spiraled about other things in my life and just like fallen apart. And that has been a pattern in my life for a long time. It's just like feeling off in the body about something and then just spiraling my brain about it and then like crashing out. And the other day I did something interesting, and I've never really done it before. And I was like, whoa, I didn't follow that storyline. The brain wants to make meaning of something, right? Going back to that pattern recognition. And I didn't really let it. I just noticed I felt a little lonely. And I didn't try to fix it. I didn't pick up the phone. I didn't do anything. I just like sat on my couch and I was like, okay, I'm feeling that. Like I just kind of let it be. And I was with it. Like I actually didn't ask it too much. I think sometimes you want to like sit with it and be like, oh, I'm with you. I just kind of noticed it. And I was like, you're okay. Like I gave myself a little comfort. And then I just read a book and just like snuggled on my couch. The next morning, I felt okay. I felt fine. Like I didn't feel the need to overthink or spiral about that feeling. And what I learned from that is like, I think the brain really wants to make meaning out of everything, about feelings, about everything. It wants to mean something about us. And I think the more that we can just notice, like, that's just a feeling because I'm human. Or like, of course I feel weird around this friend because I haven't seen them in 6 months and I miss them. It doesn't mean we're not friends anymore. Like my brain wants to make that pattern. My body is just telling me like a signal. It's just saying, hey, you miss them. And you feel a little disconnected. The brain wants to spiral. It wants to be like, we're not friends anymore. They hate me, blah, blah, blah. Instead of just being like, oh yeah, that feels kind of shitty. Okay, I hear you. Maybe I'll give them a call this week. I think when we can start being with the feelings, like letting our intuition and emotions signal to us and then being like, just noticing it. It's so hard to not want to jump into your brain and spiral. I've done it so much. It's like my pattern, like my brain wants to do it. It so badly wants to create patterns in my brain. Like if I have to do something off, it wants to just think. But I think at the least, which is like the easiest thing, if you feel like that's too hard to be like, sit with the feeling, is just to tell yourself, let's pause on this and come back to it tomorrow. Like, let's just get a good night's rest. Let's just like, it doesn't mean you're ignoring it, but you're not ignoring it by going in your brain. You're just kind of letting it be there. Like letting the body feel ugh, and just letting that exist. And then living your day with it, bringing it with you, because it doesn't know it's okay to be with you because we're so used to like analyzing in our brains. And our brain, again, that beautiful part of it being a computer pattern recognition thing, it's great, but it also can hinder us. So yeah, I think that kind of spiraled away from that being a good thing, but it is a good thing to feel. But when we can understand that like the dysregulation in the body will create overthinking in the mind, I think that is just a great tip to know, okay, I need to love the body. I need to be with the body feeling. I need to move my body. I need to shake this out. Like the body first calms the mind. And then it kind of stops that pattern loop of wanting to constantly overthink to soothe ourselves. All right, what else do I got for you guys? I think that's all. I just wanted to talk about it and just let you know, like, you're not alone in overthinking. Like, we're all overthinking at one point in our lives. I just know that what it's like to have it like overtake. And then it's like, I'm always anxious. Like, no one wants to feel that way. And obviously, if you're listening to this, you don't want to feel that way. And so you don't have to. Like, I think that practicing just like being with your feelings and like that regulation will help. And also just giving yourself some more grace and compassion for being human. Like, there's always a reason why we're doing something, right? When I overthink, it's like to keep myself safe. It's to avoid a feeling. It's always to do something. And that might be maladaptive, but it still is a strategy I learned to keep myself safe. And so that is sweet that I'm trying to keep myself safe. So if you're feeling extra anxious today, if you're feeling like you're overthinking, or you have been lately, I hope this episode just kind of made you realize that you're not alone. I hope you found some, like, you related to my stories a bit, and that you don't feel alone in yours. So there are beautiful parts of having that brain that you have and being connected to your intuition and to care. But I also know, again, like, it is hard. So it's good to learn how to manage. And obviously I'm not a therapist, so just take this with a grain of salt. I'm just sharing like my experiences and what I've learned that has helped me. And yeah, but I think creating that dialogue is so important because you're not the only one feeling it. And we all have different forms of it, but you're not alone. So I love you guys so much. And thank you for being here. I will see you next week. And yeah, you guys just mean so much to me. And I'll talk to you guys soon.